Okay, so here you can see a picture of the White House after an earthquake that hit in 2010. However, this isn't the White House in the USA. This is the White House in Haiti, and this is the Haitian earthquake in 2010. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to be thinking a bit about what caused this devastating earthquake, what were the human factors that made this disaster just so devastating, as well as what were some of the physical factors. And hopefully, these scenes here give you some kind of sense of a scale of what really happened in Haiti. So I'll say, lesson 9 is our title, Haiti Earthquake 2010. We've got some objectives there, but the real aim for this lesson is to create a one-page fact file to try and understand this earthquake. So I suggest you use the following 3 subheadings to kind of help structure your notes, and then the video will kind of be structured in a similar way. So first we'll be thinking about the key statistics, we'll be thinking about where and why this happened, and then I guess we've touched on already what were human and physical factors that both created this disaster and then exacerbated the risk or made the risk worse. So here are key statistics, and you can copy these ones out into your book. The one for me which really stands out there is that estimated death toll. Okay, so this disaster is over 1,000 times less powerful in terms of the energy that was released than the Japan earthquake we've already looked at. So it's a magnitude 7 rather than magnitude 9, but the death toll is well over 10 times as many. We don't know the exact death toll, but it's estimated to be somewhere in between 220 to 316,000 people. And to put it into context, this is just in one country, one small country, one small island in the Caribbean, with potentially up to 300,000 people dying. That is currently more than the total global number of people that have lost their lives from COVID-19. As of the 10th of May, it's around 280,000 people have lost their lives from COVID-19. So this is in a similar kind of scale, but we're just talking about an event that lasted only 55 seconds of shaking in one country. So yeah, just a really devastating impact. Cost the country 10 billion, which when compared to the Japan earthquake, which was over 100 billion, might not seem that much. But remember, this is we will find out this is one of the world's poorest countries, and that's way more. That's over 150% of what the whole country makes in a year, and that was what was lost. Okay, so still in debt to this day from this earthquake. And 80 to 90% of all the buildings in the capital city were destroyed. Okay, so we get a sense of kind of how devastating this was for the country. Right. So our first sub question is, where and why did this happen? And we're going to need this information to write a short paragraph or a couple of sentences or bullet points at the end. So first of all, we need to know, so Haiti sits here. It's this country. And so here, the Caribbean plate is a small oceanic plate that sits in between South America and North America, and Haiti is right on this kind of northern edge of it. It's actually the island is split into two. So we've got Haiti on the western side, and then we've got the Dominican Republic on the eastern side. Okay, and what's happening is the North American plate and the Caribbean plate are slowly moving past each other, and the friction that builds up between these two plates is what kind of causes our earthquake and everything else. So released as seismic energy is what causes the damage. So here we can see that in a bit more detail. You can see Haiti here highlighted, and all along this edge, this blue edge here, we've got kind of lateral motion where the plates are pushing past each other, and I'll show that in a little bit more detail in a minute. And again, you can just see an even more zoomed in one. So here, these are the two fault lines. So these are kind of weaknesses in the crust where the movement is most likely. We can see here where the earthquake was where the epicenter, so the center of the earthquake, happened. And here, right on top of that, in fact, only about 13 kilometers away, we can see the capital city of Port-au-Prince. Okay, so this is just kind of replicating essentially what's happening in Haiti. So we've got our convection currents in the mantle, which is kind of causing this movement due to the heat, and the friction there causes these plates to move. Now, rather than the plates moving towards each other, as we saw in Japan, or away from each other, as we saw in Iceland, here the plates kind of push past each other. I think about this a bit like a crash on the motorway. Think about two cars driving at different speeds but in the same direction. And as they hit each other, they're both going to end up being damaged. And that's essentially what's happening here. Okay, so on the North American plate and the Caribbean plate, even though they're both moving in the same direction, one is moving faster. The North American plate is moving faster than the Caribbean plate. And the pressure builds up within the crust until it is released as seismic energy in the form of an earthquake. So here's our first task, and we make a quick 2D simple sketch, or copy this in, and then try to use the description in the video and these keywords to explain why this earthquake happens. Okay, so remember we said the epicenter is the center of the earthquake, although the focus, that's where the earthquake happens or starts underground. Okay, so once we've kind of started to think about kind of where and why this happened, we've got our explanation there. Our final step is to think about why did so many people die. And I suggest you do this at a table, but if you would rather this as with highlighters or color coding, that's absolutely fine as well. So here we've got 10 different factors that impacted onto this earthquake. So I will go through the first one with you. The earthquake occurred at shallow depth. This means the seismic energy had to travel a smaller distance through the earth to reach the surface, so had more energy. So that would be a physical factor, okay? Because this earthquake happened very close to the surface, when it did hit the houses and hit the buildings, there was still lots of energy to do the damage, okay? And our second one, the earthquake struck the most densely populated area of the country. Okay, so that's a human factor. Okay, so that means that the fact that it hit the area close to the capital city, that's where most people lived. Most people lived in kind of concrete or in shacks. So again, if you've got more people there, the chance of it being deadly is much, much higher. Okay, so challenge for you is to go through those factors and sort them into human and physical. And then finally, if you finished all of this is a kind of optional challenge. If you want to find out a bit more, this video was filmed in January of this year, and it's looking back at an event that happened 10 years ago, at how the country has changed. I think quite shocking to think, but 5% of the rubble, the debris from that earthquake still remains there today, and 3% of those 1.5 million people who were made homeless still live in makeshift camps, and are still reliant on charities and NGOs for support. So if you want to watch this short news clip, it gives a bit more of a sense of what happened after the earthquake, and how effective that was. Okay, thanks for listening.